Hi Tim,
Hey, Bram.
nice to meet you again.
Yep, nice to meet you too.
It's been a while.
Yep, it's been a little while. Yeah, I saw you obviously at Spicy Talks last year, but yeah,
Yeah.
nice in person again.
And today we're at Create, the reincarnation of the user community. How did you like it so far?
It's been really interesting. I mean, I think what was announced earlier by Kevin and Ward, just obviously from the leadership at Chili, it's great to see the enthusiasm and the capabilities that are coming out. I think it's really good. My journey has been a few years with Chili, but just to see how it's evolved before that as well, it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been really good.
Super, because we're going to talk about the actionable insights on graphics publisher and Chili Graphics. That's what the podcast is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So happy to have you here. Maybe a quick word, a 1 minute rundown. Who is Tim? Who do you work for? What is your background?
Yeah, cool. So my name is Tim Marsh. I'm an architect at EPAM Systems, based in the UK, just outside London. And I've worked with Sitecore Solutions for over 10 years. But the last 2.5 years, I've been working with Sitecore Content Hub and pretty much with Sitecore Content Publisher, which is graphics publisher, working with that on various projects. I've got a few now, and it's been an experience, but it's been fun. It's a really interesting solution, let's call it, that enables customers. So for me, it's actually I enjoy what I do, but just actually solving a problem is actually really fun, and you can actually see the end result, which is cool. So and that's what I do. And and EPAM, it's a big tech company, global, and we're working across multiple industries and products. But I focus on CMS and DAM solutions.
Yeah. I was just about to ask EPAM. For us, you're an integration partner. So if customers come to us or to you and say we want to build a solution around graphics publisher or graphics studio now, we connect them to you. You can help them with a custom solution.
Yeah, 100%. So ultimately, we've been using it through Sitecore Content Hub, but obviously the flexibility that you've got with all the Chili products, it could be integrated into any platform. We've been doing it with customers through Content Hub, but we could easily take what the customer needs, find the right solution that encompasses obviously the Chili solution with any other platform and link it together. And I think that's the flexibility of what you've got. The possibilities are endless, and what we see with Content Hub is we're solving some real needs, and every customer will have different requests and capabilities. So as an integration partner, that's something we do, and we've got, whether it's from engineering to design, EPAM to a full service. We do everything that the customer needs. So
you mentioned an example of an integration like the Sitecore Content Hub. Can you dive in? How does that work? How does an integration work?
Yeah, so with Content Hub, obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, it's that Sitecore Content Publisher is Chili Graphics, and it enables users to build advertisements or publications at scale. But what we then do as an integration partner for a few of our customers, we then take the flexibility of Content Hub as a DAM solution. It's a lot of APIs. We take Chili's APIs, and then we try and find the business. We enable it for the business. So that last little part where the solutions are really powerful, but sometimes it needs to take security in mind or different requirements. They want different use. So we'll take that, and then we'll build them integrations up and try and link them together. So then the actual end users can use the tool specifically for their need. So,
And do you have like a recent example, without maybe mentioning a name, but a specific use case where what people store in the Content Hub and how they then adjust it in Publisher?
Yeah, sure. So we're working with a big automotive brand, and obviously, as I say, we'll keep it anonymous. But that customer has their need is that how do they control their assets at scale, and how do they enable their dealer network? So my talk that's coming up in a few hours will be literally about our story from the anonymous customer about how we've built the integration and enabled the business. So we work for the business, and how do we integrate the tools properly? And I think that the key part is that each solution, Content Hub and Chili, does exactly what it needs to do, and they do a really great job. It's just that last part. So we've been in there with the customer. So it's about scale. So what we've done is that we've taken the smart templates that they build for one, and then we enable them at a touch of a button. They can create multiple variations for their dealers. So, and the idea is that they haven't got to spend money, time, rebuilding variations for each dealer, and they can do it all self-service. They press a button.
And when you talk about publications, can I think like, is it like a brochure? Is it like signs? What kind of output are you?
These are adverts. These are normally single or double pager adverts that would either go in a magazine. But I mean, because of the power of Chile and obviously the power of the dam, it could be anything. I mean, we do see a use case as well with Chile with some of our customers where it could even be full brochures. What the customer's purchased or what the customer like a product line, and it's very flexible. I'd say that depending on what this customer is single or double page adverts, but in theory it could be anything that's print related.
Yeah, indeed. No matter the size, digital or print. Yeah.
No, and even the sizing is key. So we've got another customer working with that I've also spoken today, and with them it's also about printables, and I know we're going to be talking later, but there's a big thing there about how do they make a mass number of publications. They call them printables, but how they make thousands, hundreds of thousands a month that could be multiple products on a page, one product. Menus, and I think that's the flexibility we've got here is that we literally have the same tools in Content Hub and Chili, but the difference is obviously the data coming in. Instead of it being a singular product or a few products, we're talking about mass production. So I think that's the key part, and it can all be also different sizes, different orientations. And I think that's the cool thing with Chili is that you can just sort of load in what you want and press a few buttons and it does it. It's great.
It's like you read my mind, because one of the questions I had is, are there specific capabilities that Chili Graphics or graphics publisher offer that you say these are so unique because of the setting that are adding a lot of capabilities for you as an integrator?
For me, it's the variables. So what we do is we use the Chili API a lot extensively to control, say, variable values. And I think that's where the power comes in, is that a designer can build, let's call it a static advert, and that has an image, and then it'll have 5 or 6 text boxes on it, or it could be anything. But because of what we've got with say Content Hub, we know what image they've selected. We can give them the text fields, and then at the touch of a button, we can then talk to the API and then dynamically inject. I mean, some of the stuff we've been doing, and we've got a solution that's going with Sitecore, is that we can actually localize using AI. And for the exact thing is, who wants to go off to a translation service or pay for this, or they just want to press a button and know that it comes through in German, or look at Belgium, for instance. You've got two locales. We can then do it depending on the locale, and it can be semantically correct. And that's the cool thing, I think, that because of the infrastructure that Chili's got with the APIs and the flexibility of variables, it enables us. So variables are really great for me because it enables us to really create variations quickly without no overhead. You've already designed it, you've already set it up, you just press a button. So that's really good.
Well, you mentioned it indeed, graphics as an enabler. I think it's the same thing with Content Hub. It enables you to build these applications for customers.
Yeah, and we've got we work with some big customers with Content Hub, but I think there's a whole piece of Content Hub ultimately, and Sitecore for a long while sold it just as a dam, but I think that's changed for the good. That now it's an enabling solution as well, where you can actually connect to people that are customers that maybe have a PIM solution, or they have a website, they have print capability, whatever they need, and having that all in one place that they can check, on brand assets, stuff that's approved, it's gone through workflow. You then know that the right images, because especially for some of our customers, and I'm sure obviously for Chili's customers, some assets can't be live at certain points, or DRM protection, things like that, where Content Hub just takes the hassle out of that. That's all it's baked into the service. So I think it's about enabling the right thing. And for me, Chili Graphics is one of them, and Publishers one of them tools where trying to sell a customer wants to buy a dam solution. It's really hard there's so many dams, there's so many of these and all that, but buying a solution that can encompass 2 roles in one, and then it's all fully integrated, that for me is the really cool thing. And we saw earlier, I saw at the Sitecore booth, they've got the new stuff for Graphic Studio, they've got a POC, and that just will open up so many doors. And that's probably your next question, but yeah.
Well, not yet indeed. But you answered it a bit, what like the impact is that the capabilities of Chili adds to a dam, because a dam, in my understanding, has static assets, maybe movie, but it's the asset is what it is. The outcome, you don't add to it, and that is what the combination of the 2 applications does.
Yeah, it provides a lot of flexibility, and I mean I've seen it with other partners. I think it was at your Chili event last year where they were using Stable Diffusion to generate stuff on the fly, and that to me is really cool. Like the AI stuff that was mentioned earlier by Ward, it's sort of let's say reality is moving, like where people know there was a constant, it's now getting really quite cool, like with AI, like when he was showing the example of like asking the prompts and it was giving him back responses. It's quite ingenious, really, that it's on, people can just come up with an idea and just ask it, and then it can generate. And I think that's a cool thing as well, that with images as well, especially with dams. I think there's a whole piece coming where dams will get these more AI capabilities, and then how do you then leverage that into outputs, which could be print.
Challenging question, but have you done AI integrations in applications for customers, or you touched on AI capabilities?
So we've been doing it on our global advertising solution that we've been working with, which is what we worked with our first customer. So we've extracted it out. That it's a layer that sits on top of Sitecore Content Hub that obviously talks to the Chili API. In that, we're using AI localization for the AI for the localization. So we did translate on the fly.
So translations are provided by an AI system?
Yeah. So we just pass it in and we store all that as well. So we're not obviously repeatedly asking for the same translations. We store them centrally inside the dam so that it's for speed. But the idea is that it's just the flexibility we can we can give people scale. And we know that, for instance, Chili can take loads of variations. We know that in the dam you can store variations, but it's just about harmonising it together in a nice view. That's what we've built, as a lot of views really that take the capabilities and then just expose them out. So just they can press a button, they can get their download and they can distribute it.
So we're in the creative automation industry where what I mostly say is get the boring parts out of the production process of creative elements. Any other evolutions you see in the customer base where you see things heading with AI, creative automation in general?
Mm-hmm. I think, AI, this last 6 months or so, it seems to have appeared, and there's some really cool stuff. I think there's a really good use case for how AI. I mean, it can be dangerous, obviously, for some results, but especially with the automation tools and how creative automation works, I think that there could be some good stuff with dams. I mean, looking at it could be image replacement. It could be making images from instead of going to photo shoots, they can ask it and they give it a source image and it can create a variation. I think with creative automation, especially with Chili, I think after seeing Genie this morning, how long before someone says I need a web advert that shows this product, or they pass it down and it creates the right stuff. It could be the animation, the easy enough, and that's as AI tools advance and as maybe integrations as well. We could pass in extra information. How does that? And I mean, that could be quite a cool thing that you could create essentially adverts on the fly, or from an image it can work out the correct colours to use with it, or that. And it's quite interesting to see. I mean, the example Wall gave earlier of like creating actions was great because from a developer's point of view, a developer's got to create it, but it really puts the power in the user's hands. But for us, how could you actually do a bit more? Say passing a product, then it automatically creates a set of adverts. It could be a printable, like a publisher version. It could be then it creates a studio version already for the sizes. It knows what the product's about, and it's fun. I mean, it's an exciting time. It's a scary time because it feels like Skynet. It's Terminator 1's about to come, or 2's about to come true. But it's interesting for me just to see that. When I think it's really good, and especially being at the community today, is how we're really pushing the product as much as we can, but then talking to other partners and other customers here and seeing what they want to do. Some have similar challenges, but some also have different responses. I think it's quite good. These events are great to actually then speak and find out how it makes you want to try and do more when you can see someone else done it.
That's the whole thing of the community, indeed. That's good. Any last tips on we talked about the new creative, what we call the creative people with a tech mindset, maybe designers. We're not looking to find the best combination of designer and developer because basically they don't exist. But the new creative, any skills or capabilities that people that you think, focus on that capability, on that learning, training, where new people in the industry should focus on? Mm-hmm.
It's a hard question because it's not going to be the same answer for everyone. I mean, I've come from the technical side, and I've always dabbled with, say, Photoshop or design tools. Never not a professional by any means, but then I've taken on more of that. I mean, I think a new creative, I think it's about keeping an open mind. So the worst thing that and we see this with customers. I've seen this before, EPAM, and anywhere I've worked, or, for a customer as well, is where they sometimes will take a process, and because that's the way it's been done, they repeat it. So I think it's for the new creatives. It's actually about looking at what's possible for the tool they've purchased, but how can we actually disrupt? How can we make things easier and better? So for me, for new creatives, it's about actually knowing the tool. You don't have to know every feature, but knowing the art of the possible, and then how do you explore that? So as I say, it's an interesting time for the new creative. I think you're right. It's definitely the right phrase. It's not the traditional creative. I mean, my previous role, my first role was actually working for a design agency that did stuff for Ford and Mazda, and I used to remember seeing the guys used to have to retouch the cars manually. But while I was there, they moved to CGI, and they didn't have to take a photo of a car anymore. And that was in 3 years. It changed from they had to literally colour match a car and actually paint it on Photoshop to a CGI render would come through, and they just said, we need it in this colour red now. So even that was 10 years ago or 12 years ago, how that's changed. So yeah, for new creatives, it's definitely there's still the older processes in the way that people work, but I think it's technology does enable. I mean, it also can be a curse, but I think that as long as it's done right, it can be really good. And if I say for me, everything that you guys do with Chili, it's just it enables people. It's all about the scale and about how it does it. So I like it.
Maybe to summarize to what I mostly say to people is to embrace technology, and even if you don't fully grasp it yet, just go with it and see what it can do, and things will rise to the top, and then you'll use parts of it in your next projects.
100%, and that's definitely what happened with us. Our first project, we explored Chili and Content Hub. We pushed so far. The new project we're working on now, a lot more data, a lot more constraint, let's call it, on how they build assets. So it's also exploring the capabilities, pushing Chili to the boundary, pushing Content up to the boundary. How far can we go, and how far do we need to go? And then making sure that we've got a scalable solution that will work for all their different permutations. And if not, try and find a solution to how can we enable them with a different integration points to maybe get them there. So, but sometimes it's not always about I'd love to say to a customer, you've got 300 templates, let's go to one. In most cases, that won't be the case because there's too much of a drastic change for them to get their head around. But even if you get on that way to single digits or double digits, that's still a lot better. It saves them money and time. But and then obviously we can maybe then readjust again. How do we bring them down? So I think it's a learning experience. I think it's been it's something you have to try. Yeah,
indeed. Well, and on that note, I would say just dive in and try. I think that's the best advice we can give to the listeners and the viewers.
Yep.
You heard it, Tim said it, try it. And on that note, I would like to thank you being our guest on the CHILIpulse. And for the viewers, if you want to see more of the CHILIpulses, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episodes. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for having me.